Tesla's full self-driving is back on a faster release schedule, with Elon Musk announcing that version 12.5.1 is now starting wide release. This is of course still just for those cars with hardware 4, but Elon did also say that the new version will come to hardware 3 vehicles in about 10 days. Let's find out more what's going to take to get hardware 3 on. We also continue to get reports from early users how great the new version is, and more importantly, we get Tesla's director of autopilot, Ashok Kalaswamy himself, and another Tesla Autopilot team member, Srihari Sampathkumar, continue to tweet how it's a step in the right direction towards becoming a 5-star Uber driver. Hans Nelson is absolutely the perfect person to bring here to tell us more about what to expect with 12.5, what to expect when then finally we get feature complete, and what these our Autopilot team is saying. Thanks, Hans.
Thanks for having me, Herbert. Excited about this topic because obviously this is kind of important.
It's very important. And the big deal is this, right? Elon came out and said that 12.5.1 starts wide release today. So he had previously said that we need to wait for 0.3 release, but now it seems to be going out. Please connect your Tesla to Wi-Fi to receive the update. Of course, what he didn't kind of mention is that it's only the hardware 4 cars. So typically, I don't know, what are the hardware 4 cars, Hans? Like 2022?
Yeah, I think it's Highland Model 3s, and then Model Y for a while has had hardware 4 in it. And then I think, quite a few of the new S and X vehicles have had hardware 4 for a while. Yeah. And then obviously all Cybertrucks are hardware 4 as well. So,
a small number of vehicles, but he did say this, right? It takes considerable software effort to optimize the code enough to run on hardware 3. It also needs to be validated separately. Estimated rollout is about 10 days. So that's great news because, I've got hardware 3. I've got 2020 Tesla Model 3. It's got hardware 3 in it. They're not neglecting it. And it's only going to take 10 days for us to finally get it there too, optimize the code enough to do that. And there's a lot of people freaking out going, oh, they're going to abandon hardware 3. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, and, since he's saying that it has to be optimized for hardware 3 separately, that's a process that takes a while. And if he is saying that they're estimating to roll it out in 10 days, that means it's already most of the way through that optimization and validation process. So we should be coming to the end of that. So what I'm hearing is not that there is significant challenges that we don't know how to solve in order to get this new version of 12.5 to work on hardware 3. They've already solved all those issues. They're already getting ready to run that on hardware 3 vehicles for the fleet. They're just in the last stages of doing the validation, making sure that in whatever little tweaks that they made to get it to run on hardware 3, they didn't accidentally break something new that's going to cause major issues. So assuming that those validation tests go well for the next roughly 2 weeks before 8.8, then it will roll out to hardware 3 customers. But even if it is longer than that, there may be new challenges that pop up in that last stage of validation. We have seen that type of thing happen before in previous versions of FSD. I think 12.4 would be a good example. We got all the way to this level of, hey, 12.4 is about to go out and it's going to be amazing and incredible. And then like right at the end of validation testing, they're like, actually there are some problems and we're not really going to be able to roll this out as wide as we hoped. But that didn't seem to slow down 12.5 from coming to us. And so I think the same thing, if it were to happen, would be the case with hardware 3. Getting on to 12.5 or whatever version ends up being able to run well on 12.5. And we can get into a little bit more technically later, but the short story is there's no reason that they cannot continue to massively improve the quality of the software on hardware 3. And they have every incentive in the world to do that because hardware 3 is a large portion of the fleet. It's like 2 million plus vehicles on the road out of Tesla's fleet of 4 to 5 million vehicles. So it's more than half, or not, it's somewhere in the realm of roughly half of the fleet is hardware 3. And so that's a portion of their customer base and a revenue opportunity that they are not going to neglect.
Yeah. So Elon, just this weekend, when he was in an interview with X Takeover, he did say that almost every single Tesla will be able to be used as a ride hail. He keeps confirming that. So that's 7+ million cars, which must include hardware 3. Yeah.
Well, and as one more just little nugget for that, remember, we just got 12.3.6 running on MCU1 Teslas.
Hmm.
Now, think about how old, like, we haven't been putting
Right.
MCU1 in cars
How old
for
is that?
6, 7 years. I think 20, somewhere around 2017, 2018, where
Hmm.
I guess they were probably shipping, because I believe that S still had MCU1 in 2018. So maybe somewhere around 2019. So maybe 5 years. They switched over to the new MCU unit,
Hmm.
um, that you had to have MC for a long time. You had to have MCU2 in order to have FSD working. And now you can actually get the latest version of FSD that is all the way to wide release. 12.5 is not there yet. Um, will run on an MCU1 car
Yeah.
as long as you have hardware 3 as well. So that's a really exciting piece of evidence that they are interested in making new versions of the software backwards compatible to the extent that it makes sense and is possible. Like, which is, I think, a much
Well,
higher
you're gonna.
bar,
Yeah.
yeah, than people
You'll
realize.
explain right now how it is possible. But Elon, obviously, he kept saying that we're going to get to full scale. In order to do a ride hailing service, you need to have lots of cars out there for very specific locations in order to be able to offer, like, say, hey, anybody, anywhere, if you want to ride hail, you got to have a car come to you within 3 minutes. If you don't have enough cars, you won't be able to do that. And Elon goes, well, we'll have instant scale because we'll have 7 million cars available with a flip of the switch. He can't say that if they don't make it backwards compatible. So explain to us how it is that they actually are able to take a hardware 3 and make that be able to run 12.5. You have this post that you said that there's many strategies to get better performance out of a neural net. Here's a few of the most common: improve the objective function, train on better data, train with more compute, train for longer, add more parameters to the neural net. Options 1 to 4 result in higher, I don't know what that means,
Signal to
SNR
noise
models.
ratio. So it's like a
And
more compressed, better performing model.
option 5 results in lower SNR, which is what's the option 5? This is adding more parameters. And then Tesla has room to do lots more of options 1 to 4 to get future versions of FSD to fit on hardware 3. So please tell me all about all this.
Yeah, so SNR is just signal to noise ratio. And the reason that I used that abbreviation was because that's what Elon had put in the reply that I was quote posting here.
Mm-hmm.
And so signal to noise ratio, you can think about it is, if say you've got a neural network and it's got 1 billion parameters, like how much information can you fit in there and how rich is that information? If you take the same information and you put it into 5 billion parameters instead of 1 billion parameters, well, that's going to be a lower ratio of signal in your overall network. So that would be a lower signal to noise ratio model than a 1 billion parameter that was exactly as capable as the 5 billion parameter model. And that's the struggle right now that we're kind of contending with hardware 3, is that, Elon said that this latest model that 12.5 runs on is they increased the parameter count by 5 times. And so I don't know how many parameters were in the 12.3 or 12.4 versions, but we'll just say a billion, just because it makes the numbers nice and round. So there was a billion before, now we've got 5 billion. And the
Mm-hmm.
increased number of parameters, that's a direct ratio of the number of little computations that the neural net processing unit inside of the AI computer has to do when you put your signal in, whatever, you're feeding in all those photons from your cameras, and then you're processing them through this neural network, and then you've got your outputs coming out on the other side. And so if you've got a bigger model, it's harder to do more math. You're saying you have to do 5 times more math when you take your signal in to when you get your controls out. Um, and that's the thing that he's like, okay, this is a little bit hard now to fit that onto hardware 3. And so what my post is generally saying, for like the most simple version, is that there are lots of different ways to get that same level of performance that you would get out of 5 billion parameters in a smaller model,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe we can get it back to 4 million parameters, or sorry, billion, or 3 billion, or even maybe back down to the original 1 billion. That those 4 strategies that I talked about to begin with, whether you're saying, hey, I just know how to define what the correct behavior is better, that's what improving your objective function is. Like if I can define to the computer while it's training exactly what it looks like to be a perfect driver better, then I will get a better model in the exact same size. That same 1 billion parameter model I can get to operate better if I can define what success looks like better to it on the front end. Then option 2, what did I say? I think was training with better data. And so that's something that this is a constant process that Tesla is going through all the time. Is they're going through their, we have new data that's coming in, and we're trying to decide, is any of the new data that we have gotten from the fleet, is that better data than the best data that we had in the old training set? And if it is, we're going to add it. And then maybe we're going to, it could be that they're just going to add it and they're going to grow the overall size of the data set, or maybe it means that they're going to actually drop the least high quality data that they have. And so they're constantly improving the quality of the data set that they have. So that's something that's already going to happen. And the fact that they're working on that means that that is one forcing function that is pushing this to be able to operate in a smaller neural net that will run on hardware 3, just that all by itself. Then if you add on top of that, hey, if you train with more, like the 2 things that add to getting better performance out of the same size neural network are, you can train with more computers, or you can train with more time, or you can do both. You can say, I'm going to add more computers and I'm going to add more time. And those 2 things are going to even give me more advanced capability to compress this model down to a smaller size. And that's one of the things that we've seen from example, like all the llama models that Meta has produced recently, that one of the things that Mark Zuckerberg did was just give the team the green light. Like, let's just keep training this well past the time when people say normally you should stop, and let's see what happens. And what they found was, if you just keep training, it just keeps getting better.
Something magical happens. Yeah.
And so, Tesla, we're getting a larger compute cluster. So we're already getting more computers to be able to throw at this problem. And then if we give ourselves more time, then we can have a better objective function. We can have better data. We can have more compute, and we can run it for longer. And we're going to do all 4 of those things. Doing all 4 of those things means that we can make something that operates even better than 12.5 operates today. And we can squish it down into a size that is equal to or less than what was running in 12.3. And if we do that, then obviously it's going to continue to work on hardware 3. So that's the gist of the thing. And that doesn't even get into some of what James Dauma has talked about, that that level of the discussion is just trying to get the neural net itself to run inside of 12.3, or sorry, inside of hardware 3. But then there are lots of other layers of code that are not even the neural net code that also can be optimized to make it run better on an older version of software too. And we haven't really even begun to explore those. So there's all of the strategies that I just laid out, plus a bunch more strategies that all combined basically guarantee that we have a long way to go in improvements in software that are capable of running on hardware 3 vehicles. And then, like we said, if you've got 2 million plus hardware 3 vehicles on the road, even if you only said that the revenue potential on each vehicle was $10,000 a year, which is not that much for a robotaxi.
$1 billion.
Yeah. You're talking about $20 billion a year of left, of untapped earnings potential that you just leave on the table. And so you can afford to spend a lot of money to fix this software problem.
And you need it for the scale. You need it for the training. You need it for the data. So, okay, let's move on. But it's very cool to say that hardware 3, first of all, is, people think it's old tech, but you just explained all the different ways that they can still make that work. But imagine now we're on hardware 4, or they're going to start calling it AI 4 and AI 5. These chips are getting better. They're increasing the compute. We're getting more data. They're spending more time. We're just at the friggin' beginning. And so if we can already do what we're able to do with what hardware 3 and hardware 4, imagine what's going to happen when you got the bigger compute, the bigger data, the better chips that are out there. So this is what people are saying about 12.5. It's really good. Mackay Wrigley is an AI. I think he's an AI expert himself. He said Tesla's FSD 12.5 update is the best product experience I've ever had. It's now just a straight up personal robotaxi. I literally cannot believe it exists. It feels straight out of the future, pure magic. Ashok Kalaswamy, who's a director of autopilot for Tesla, he's the guy leading the show here. He said, experiencing it is a peek into the future. And then here's AI Driver at the X Takeover event that I was at too. So you're basically in the park, like literally inside the park, and it's able to find its way even though there's unmarked roads. And you'll see Elon reply to this as well. So let's watch this video. I think he got 12.5.1 right when he was still right there at the event itself. Okay, so it's like honestly, it's a park. You're in the middle of a park. We parked there myself. Recognizes all the cars. I mean, it's grass. It's not even a road. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason why there's cars driving that way there. I don't know how it knew to follow those guys. I guess those gates might have helped. I mean, this does look a little bit different. I mean, you can see that it does think it's a road now. You can see those very light road markings. It's going, okay, that looks like a road to me. And it's even turning on the left. It's definitely following the cars. I mean, that helped that there was cars there. I wonder what it would be like if there were no cars there. Okay, now it looks like it's a real road that it knows how to do.
Yeah, that following behavior is one I always wonder about. When it does surprisingly good behavior somewhere, but it just happens to be behind another car. I'm like, did it know how to do that, or did it just know how to follow the other person who knew how to do that?
Which is fine.
Yep.
But yes.
I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do as a human too. Is like, you don't know where to go, but those people are going there, and so you just follow along.
Yeah, I'm just gonna click it faster. I mean, these are normal roads. Look at all the cars you can see. It's crazy. The 8 cameras can see everything. So why wouldn't it be better than you? There was a car that was going to come in. It knew it was his right of way, so it kept going forward. There's a person walking.
Can't believe the Cybertruck didn't show up as a Cybertruck in the visualization. Just unacceptable.
I know. I want to see all Teslas show up as Teslas. I mean, the other thing too is this is 12.5.1, and I love the speed. It's driving as fast as I want. Slows down very smoothly there, right?
This is a Tesla Club LA, and we have a t-shirt if you want to get one. My husband follows you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. You're going to be in a video. That's awesome.
That's funny. Okay. So that's 12.5.1, but it showed that it was navigating out through a field. Tesla themselves, Tesla's X account forwarded this, said FSD supervised 12.5 can find its way out of parking lots as well as unmarked roads. And it's gotten really good at parking lots now. And then Elon replied saying, and it will improve significantly from here. And then Shirahi Sampath Kumar, who's also part of the autopilot team at Tesla, he said, glad to see many are having good drives in 12.5, a step in the right direction towards becoming a 5-star Uber driver.
Yeah, I mean, we're deep into edge case solving territory here. You don't work on trying to escape, from an unmarked road parking situation until you've already solved a lot of the task and complexity of driving.
That's a good point.
And so I think it is a great signal of, how far down the march of nines that we are at this point in time, and significant improvement from here. Like, what does that imply? Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious to me that it implies that this is essentially a solved problem from a theoretical standpoint. There's still some engineering work. Like we've got to keep turning the crank. We're not, 100% of the way there yet, but we just have to keep doing what we've already been doing in order to get from here to there. That there's nothing new that needs to be invented in order for us to complete this journey. And it's very exciting, especially when you go back and think about the comments that Ashok made earlier this year about this is the beginning of the end. And I think that was probably honestly at the point in time where they were beginning the QA process for
Of
something
this.
like 12.4 or 12.5.
Yeah.
And so for him to, he made those comments at about that time. And now that we are getting 12.5 into the hands of customers, he's making comments again. I'm just going to read the tea leaves and say, I think that Ashok's excitement has been around the performance of maybe this new 5 billion parameter model and knowing what the significance of its performance means to their ability to just continue to turn the crank and solve this problem.
Okay. Can you tell me what is feature complete? So I was assuming, and I think we all were, that 12.5, some point release of 12.5 is going to have actual smart summon, which is the ability to summon a car from a parking lot and the ability to banish the car to go find its parking. Here, they showed you that Tesla said, hey, no, it can actually navigate parking lots better now. But actual smart summon and then the ability to reverse. Is there anything else that we're missing? Maybe
single stack on highways is another one. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Tell me more about what we're expecting and when.
So we've been told. Now, we have also been told in the past that we would be getting actually smart summon on, such and such a timeline or in the 12.3s or whatever. And it continues to be pushed back. So hopefully, one of these times their prediction will have to be right if they ever actually ship it. Hopefully 12.5 is that time. But that said, I'm highly confident that we will get back to single stack on 12.5, that we got to single stack for a little while and then we split again. And if we can come back to being single stack highway and city streets in 12.5 with the performance that we're seeing of 12.5 on city streets, I think that would be another thing. Because we have I guess it's not 100% that it has to be single stack when it's ultimately solved, but it certainly makes a lot more sense that the ultimate solution needs to be single stack. So that getting back to single stack to me signals that we're closer again to having this thing
one code
solved.
Rules them all. And then they all, whatever you learn from one, you're going to feed the other. It just makes everything better. So it looks like that this is about Tesla saying this, that from the code from, who is it now, Tesla 5 or something. As of this morning, 6% of Tesla fleet in the US and Canada has FSD 12.5 installed. So that must be the hardware for our folks. 8% of the cars have 12.4.3. That's the one I'm on. 77, according to Tesla, which is software that they were able to report on based on their base, the people that have Tesla app. But generally, I mean, I'm sure they're fairly close enough accurate to what's actually happening. 77% of the cars have version 12.3.6, though that includes cars that don't have FSD enabled. So it looks like that, it's moving along. 6% have it, and then it will, in 10 days, a lot more cars will get it. So this is the way it appears. 12.3.6 is still the main thing. I'm at the 12.4.3, and 12.5 is still small, but it's moving.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in the 12.3.6 camp still. I would be curious to know how many cars don't have FSD enabled. So, is it like, are we at the point now that we're a third, that a third of the cars that don't have FSD are on 12.3.6? Or sorry, a third of the cars that do have FSD are on 12.3.6, and a third are on 12.4, and a third are on 12.5. I mean, it depends on what their ratio of cars that do and don't have FSD enabled is. I wish that they had broken that out, because I feel like that would give us a little bit more of insight into this. But that said, I know that a lot fewer people have the new versions of 12.5 than not. So maybe, maybe that 77% number is roughly close to accurate.
Yeah. So the problem is that people are still testing, which is great, testing the FSD, and they're in the old version. And so there's this guy that was on Bloomberg, and he was interviewed. His name is William Stein of Truist Securities. So this is a institutional investor, and he claims that he almost crashed while testing FSD. Tesla's driver assistance system is truly amazing, but not even close to solving autonomy. He goes, it almost crashed. And the funny thing is, this guy was driving 12.3.6. So why was he not trying to drive one that's months old to figure out how close they are to autonomy? Months old. Complaining about 12.3.6, especially the highway stack, right? Because that's the older version. It's not yet the new. As 12.5.1 is rolling out, it's like complaining you're not getting good signal on your iPhone 4 when the iPhone 15 is for sale. Jeff Lutz said, and I know you've been saying this too, even a few weeks old are like years and decades with AI. So
yeah,
the improvement is so fast, so high.
It is
so quick,
ridiculous how fast things are moving these days. And I do think that, if you want to make that case, it is hard on a single, even just like a single drive, like, that's a single drive is not statistically relevant, whether it's a really good drive or a really bad drive. Like, you have to take what is the average number of interventions needed over many thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of miles. And so I think, like, I don't really want to get sucked into the trap of saying any 1 mile is definitive about what is the quality of the software. But even beyond that, I do think it's important, if someone wants to know how close is Tesla, not just like where are they, but what is the rate of progress. And so if you're not testing different versions consistently, how do you know what the trajectory of this change is? And so for him to tell people that they're not even close when he has only a very, very limited sample size to draw from and extrapolate from, and when he's not doing the testing necessary to try and figure out what's the rate of change, are we advancing rapidly or not, then it's pretty much irrelevant what his opinion is on the situation, because he just has not done the necessary homework. And that's why we spend so much time trying to, watch all these videos of all these different drivers on all these different versions across time, so that we can expose ourselves to that larger data set that's necessary in order to get a solid feel for where this is and where it's going.
Yep. So very clearly, it's not ready. The car can at any moment do something dumb. It will still make mistakes. That's what we're all saying. Even Elon says that this is supervised FSD. That's what the name supervised, not yet unsupervised. But if you look at the progress from 12.3.6 to 12.5 to 12.5.1, and then you can see all these improvements that are happening, and then wrap it up to what you said earlier. They're rolling it out to hardware 3, and that's the old chip. Imagine what happens when it's AI 4, AI 5, when they have even more compute, when they have more, everything's already feature complete, more time, more data. Then that's why we are excited. It's not that we think it's ready today. It's going to be ready very soon, maybe a year. We don't know how long it'll take, but all of these things just give you that confidence that it's continuing to get better.
100%. And, especially the last thing that we have to remember on all this is that the best piece of data that tells someone, is this working or is this not working, is the data that Tesla themselves has, because they can see the data of entire fleets. So they can see hundreds of thousands of miles worth of data every day. Whereas, any one of us drivers is looking at a handful of miles, in a month. And so just remember that Tesla has way better data on how good the system is than we do. And
that's a good point.
When you look at the commentary by Ashok, that's
the entire team.
Different.
It's not just Elon. I mean, like, all of them are out there going, we're proud of this. Oh my God, I can't believe, we're headed that way and we're on path. And it's like, because like you said, they can see the entire fleet. They can They can see the jump in improvements. They already are testing the ones with the big supercomputers that are running now. So like, yeah, it's exciting. Okay. Thank you so much, Hans. Follow him on X at Hans C. Nelson. Follow him on YouTube at Hans C. Nelson. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Hans. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.